Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 4 of K&K Real Talk. I'm here co-hosting with none other than Kristen McRoby, founder of Endometriosis and me. Hi, Kristen. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm feeling the Mondays, so I'm sleepy, but otherwise really good.
Yep, feeling the Mondays. I hear you. So happy to be with you here again in this platform, chatting with our Endo sisters and supporters. I'm really excited about today's topic. Today we're talking about how to advocate for yourself with doctors. I do have to admit this topic is a bit of a soapbox issue for me. I think it is for you, Kristen, as well. And this is for you. We had a different plan for today. And then we saw a recent post on the Endometriosis and Me closed group. And many of you shared some things like how your care has been given. So maybe it was a one-liner from your doctor, or specifically how you've been treated in a pain management clinic, or in a scenario when you've gone for medical care, you've gone to get help and have been shut down, really. I mean, that's the only way to explain it. And just to highlight this, a few of the comments that we had, there were many comments. I think right now on that thread, there are like 97 or 99 responses. And when I was reading those, I was remembering my experience. But I think there's a difference when, like I experienced it, and I experienced it maybe over the course of the last 12 years. But it's different when I see so many others experience this. And this is not just an issue that stops at endometriosis. This is an issue for all of our invisible chronic conditions. Any chronic condition. I know that people with fibromyalgia experience this. I know that people with autoimmune diseases experience this. So let's tackle it, because we're going to create some change here today. We're going to give you some specific solutions. A couple of the comments I saw or little one-liners from some of our physicians were, endometriosis is very rare. I only have one other patient with it. It's just a period. Every woman has a period. Or it's just a bad period. This one came from somebody right after a surgical procedure. We didn't remove any or look behind your bow for it because we didn't want to waste any time and had lots of people to get through. That's like crazy. Why, why would you say that out loud to me after I just went through surgery? That's beyond me. And everyone experiences period pain. Besides, you're too young to have endometriosis. Try yoga. I mean, yes, try yoga, there's so many things that we can try. There's so many choices we have when it comes to our pain, but I just cannot even fathom, or I can fathom it. It really shouldn't surprise me. But I guess what surprises me is when I'm seeing all of these other women and people dealing with these comments. So for me, mine was the one that I shared first was endometriosis isn't painful. That's what I got. The very first time that I said out loud to a physician at a very young age, I believe I have endometriosis. His response was, endometriosis isn't painful. And have you tried birth control? I think is what, came out of that. And that's what my doctor said. So I was stunned. I was stunned into silence with no advocate, just the buzz of the fluorescent lights above me, the chill in the air surrounding me, the crunch of the paper beneath me as I shifted uncomfortably on the table. I contracted into myself and simply nodded in his direction. That's all I could do. I felt stupid. I felt uncertain. I began to doubt myself and to lose trust in my medical professionals. Like I said earlier, he suggested birth control for my symptoms, and every doctor seemed to suggest birth control for every symptom prior to and after that visit. And I again, because I was contracted into myself and not really trusting my own voice, I didn't tell him that a birth control had recently threatened my sanity. So I just left. I felt defeated. I felt isolated. I felt unheard. I felt misunderstood. And that was 12 years ago. So it wasn't the first, nor was it the last time a medical doctor diminished my opinion with false information or shut me down with a laugh or a snide comment. And it's becoming clearer and clearer that this, this is a very real issue. I know, Kristen, share your, what you were sharing with me, your side of this.
For me, I didn't necessarily feel like I was being ignored or that I wasn't being heard or whatever you want, however you want to put it. My real problem was that when I went to my family doctor, GP, general practitioner, whatever you call it, where you are, I went to her after my very first period, which should have been a clue. I went to her with painful irregular periods, and her answer was to put me on birth control. They're like, it's like it's not their problem, so they're just like birth control. It's pretty much a band-aid for a lot of our symptoms. So they like my problem was that she didn't look into it. She didn't ask me more questions. She didn't send me for any tests, any scans, anything. Just birth control. Bye. And for me, I now looking back at that, I mean, when I was like 14, I think I was 14. So like, you're not thinking, oh, well, what about this, and this, and this? No, you're thinking, okay, the doctor's telling me this is what I need, so this is what I need. And now looking at that, I'm like, wow, we could have caught that so much earlier than we did. That is why we have to advocate for ourselves. Doctors they just want us out of the office so they can go home at the end of the day. They're a human just like you and me. That's why you have to take control of your own health and your own body in a whole health, whole body way. Taking care of from your mind and inside and out, your whole body, your whole life. and I've been really like looking into that, and there's lots of things that I need to do, and I'm definitely ready to make some changes, and I think you guys are ready to make some changes.
Absolutely. And that brings up such a great point. Now this has never happened to me. I'm sure this happens sometimes, but I have never been in a situation where a doctor has suggested balancing hormones with nutrition or using a lifestyle or nutritional approach to better manage symptoms or conditions in and outside of endometriosis. I have clients who have said, oh, doctor just says diet and exercise. And they will sometimes say that, but it's even that, I think, is sometimes uncommon. And that definitely needs to change. I think doctors are, frustrated as well, but I that's another topic for another day when it comes to that piece of it. But I totally and completely agree with you that we must advocate for ourselves. We must take action for ourselves because better is possible, and we can choose to live a lifestyle that better supports our health and our bodies. So basically the moral of the story here is up to us to advocate for ourselves. It's up to us to expect respect from our medical professionals, even if they disagree with us. So let's chat about what we can do to minimize these incidents for ourselves and for others. I'll let you take over, Kristen, on the proactive aspect of
So
it.
first and foremost is like when you even hear the words endometriosis or you're looking into anything for your own health, proactively educate yourself on what your insurance covers. And if you're confused about that information, you can call the call centers. That's what they're there for. They're there to help you figure out what it is that you need, what's covered, and they should be involved in your health plan with your doctor. I mean, some things are covered, some things are not, and that includes here in Ontario or Canada where our healthcare is covered. It's still technically an insurance, which is OHIP, which covers me in Ontario, but that does not cover everything. So it's good to know what is covered under that. The different we all have different restrictions based on where we live and the insurance that we have. So the more you know and the more that you can find to benefit you specifically or to match the needs that you want, the better. Research your doctor. Find a doctor that you are comfortable with. You must be comfortable. You have to tell them embarrassing things and you have to be honest with them. So educate yourself on your doctor. Read reviews about them. Ask for recommendations in your area of people that have are kind of in the same boat as you have gone to see them. You have to come up with a good treatment plan for you with your doctor, with your insurance. You have to be comfortable with your plan going forward. This is your body. You take control of it. Yes, the doctor is going to recommend treatment of what they think that you should do, but do your research and know what you're getting into. And many times it feels like we are being talked down to by the doctor. It can really feel like a child parent relationship in certain points of it because it's sometimes the way they talk and the language that they use, but it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, hey, could you break that down a little simpler for me so I can understand it? And just just advocate for yourself. Yes, your doctor wants to help you and they have the plan that they think is right, but do what's right for you. If you don't like their plan, don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Define your expectations with your doctor. Clearly explain what you're looking for from these people. I know it's tough to say what you want and what's on your mind, but you have to. It's your life, it's your body, it's your health. You need to take control of you. It's so important. Things that you might look for from your doctor are things like when you're making an appointment, do they listen to you? Do they respect your opinions? Do they encourage you to educate yourself and give you resources where you can do that, like websites or pamphlets, or ask for it, ask for any information that they can give you. Um, when you meet your doctor, definitely bring all of your medical records that you've had, any scans, surgeries, the whole thing. Um, or in Canada, they send it electronically now. So make sure that when you get that referral, they are sending your chart along with you. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask them whatever you want. They are not there to judge you. They are there to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and some of us do feel judged sometimes. There's this aspect where doctors are just so used to their shop talk or like patient after patient after patient or back to back to back that they sometimes don't realize that the terminology that they're using or their way they're explaining something is just kind of going over our head. And so sometimes we have to say, well, what does that mean? Or can you explain how that works? Or I've been feeling this and thought it might be related to that. Is that a possibility? And, you know, if a doctor is speaking to you disrespectfully, you can shut it down. And that's exactly what, you know, we're going to continue to have this conversation about. And just like what Kristen was saying on asking questions, being proactive, asking for recommendations, reading reviews, it's also okay to call a doctor's office. And yes, you're going to talk to someone at the front desk. And you can ask a couple of questions before you choose that physician or before you make an appointment. So just asking those pieces that Kristen was talking about, like you could say, hey, I've had some issues with doctors in the past not taking my questions and concerns seriously. That's really, really important to me. Is there a doctor at your particular office that genuinely cares and listens to their patients? You can ask questions like that. You can ask if there's somebody there that's very familiar with endometriosis or any conditions that you are experiencing. And it's also okay to try a doctor out and to choose that that's not the right doctor for you. So I love being proactive about this. And so if you go ahead and schedule and you're really optimistic, you've maybe read some reviews or got a recommendation and you meet a doctor, preface it. Preface your concerns from the get-go, because you're going to know by the end of that appointment whether or not that doctor's right for you. So an example of this might be, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Smith. I'm looking for a practitioner that will take my symptoms, fears, and pains seriously. I respect that doctors have far more medical knowledge than myself, but I know when something isn't right with my body, and I've had challenges in the past being taken seriously. I respect your time just as much as I respect my time. If we aren't a good fit, that's okay. So if after this visit you don't feel like we're on the same page, I'd rather you go ahead and refer me to someone with extensive experience with endometriosis, XYZ, whatever, endo, IBS, PCOS, or fibromyalgia, just whatever the conditions are and related illnesses, as I want a physician who advocates for my best outcome. Now, for those of you seeking natural options, seeking holistic ways to reduce the side effects of drugs and things of that nature, I would add that. This is really crucial. Sometimes we sort of have that like authority, that doctor's got the authority and I know nothing. And so we're a little afraid. So I would add that in. Something like, it's important to me that I take a whole life approach, as I've found holistic methods to be quite supportive. I want medical supervision, perspective, and suggestions. However, I would like that to be in conjunction with the nutrition and lifestyle habits I'm using to manage or reduce my symptoms. This has improved the quality of my life drastically, or if you haven't started that yet, I've seen evidence of this improving the lives of others drastically. And I'm choosing an integrative approach. If this is an area where I can expect to be bullied by any of the staff, it would serve my ultimate health to go elsewhere. I prefer relationships with mutual respect, as I'm sure you do as well. And you don't have to use that many words. I use a lot of words when I talk or write or anything. I'm just wordy. But it doesn't have to be that specific. Change the words to sound like you, but keep the message clear. I'm looking for a doctor that will, in collaboration with me, be proactive about my overall health. I would like a physician who has experience with endo and takes my health, illness, symptoms, pain, concerns, and questions seriously. If that's not you, cool. Have a nice day. I mean, however you want to say it, at the end of the day, we deserve to be heard and respected by our physicians. We deserve to stop the bullying, the disrespectful attitude in its tracks. And so this can be really important. If you need to, write it down, practice it, but have something with you that is sort of like You're going in with expectations. You're expecting a doctor to work in collaboration with you and with what you want for your health and for your body. And it doesn't serve you to work with a doctor who's like not having it, not going to listen to your fears around your symptoms or your pain or whatever that is. I mean, I think I said this on one of our previous episodes, but the last visit I had in the ER right before a diagnosis, I didn't know which symptoms were connected, so I shared all of my symptoms and was asked if I'd been hospitalized for psychiatric care. And is that a question that perhaps is something they need to ask when it looks like somebody is a crazy person? Maybe. But when that wasn't just that question. It was like the series of not being taken seriously and the other questions around it. And then like oh, well, you came to the ER, so you need to be prepared. It's going to be invasive. You didn't just go to the doctor. Like, dude, it's like 4:00 in the morning. There's a reason I didn't go to the doctor. My doctor's not there. Like, I need help. That's why I'm here. And then, he was all giddy when he got to make a diagnosis that he doesn't ever get to diagnose. So to assist with preventing doctors from continuing this behavior, here's what to do when you're disrespected. 1, make it known to the physician. I know that this is tough. I know. This is not going to be comfortable for you, but it's also not going to be comfortable for them. And if it's not comfortable for them, it may stop them in their tracks from continuing this with other patients. So it is okay to stand up for yourself. So a few things you could say are, I don't appreciate being spoken to this way. Or, wow, your bedside manner could use some improvement. Or, does first do no harm not apply to the mental emotional state of your patients? Or, do you think belittling patients gains respect or is helpful in some way? Or, what benefit do you gain from speaking to people or patients this way? I mean, what are they going to say when you ask, what benefit do you gain from speaking to patients this way? Or, do you speak to all people this way or just vulnerable and scared patients? It's not disrespectful for you to stand up for you and to kind of create a record scratch, because normally they'll apologize or they'll get quiet or they'll say something like, oh, what did I say? Like, sometimes they don't think before they speak. That's just many of us humans in general. It's okay to create a record scratch scenario. You don't ever have to see that doctor again if you don't want to. And perhaps you shouldn't if they're going to be disrespectful to you. It's the medical field, but it's still a business. At the end of the day, it is still a business. And if enough people stop seeing that doctor because of the treatment of their patients, eventually something will change. So the second thing you want to do, so the first one was make it known to the physician. That way everything that comes next is not a surprise. The second thing is share your experience with the company, the hospital, the practice, the front desk, with whomever, and review and file a complaint. Now that sounds like a whole lot of stuff. We're going to make this so easy. This is not as much work as it sounds like, but you can actually reduce this scenario in just a few steps. So firstly, the purpose of writing a review, it's not meant to tarnish the doctor's name or the practice or the hospital, but to share your honest experience with others so that it decreases the likelihood that it's going to continue to happen. Write an honest, respectfully written review, and I'll share why in just a moment. Secondly, leaving a review in one or more places so that others can be prepared and expect better treatment or avoid the scenario completely. This doesn't only warn others, this also causes the practices and physicians to seek the problem if patients are leaving or decreasing. The medical field, like I said earlier, At the end of the day, they do want your business. And next is write a complaint. So there are different areas, different places. They all have a different way of doing this. So you may need to do some research if you're outside of the US or Canada in order to find out, well, where does this go? And to get really specific. So one thing I'll do is in the comments, I'm gonna add a link for you. So here in the US, you can go to www.medicare.gov/contacts, and you'll enter your state and you'll check the box that says complaints about my care and services. And that's all. You're not gonna, they'll just your state, and look for that box. And you check that box. When you do that, you're gonna be routed to the appropriate places in your state where you can send a complaint, and you simply send a copy of the review you already created. And this is why you want it to be sound, professional, articulate, concise, without a bunch of profanities and emotion, share your emotion, share how it made you feel. But this is why it's really important that that review is written in a respectful, concise manner so that you can use one in multiple places. An angry review full of profanity and such, it won't get the acknowledgement that an honest, factual review sharing your true experience and feelings and disappointment will. So Kristen, do you have some feedback on the viewers in Canada?
So one important responsibility of the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario or of Alberta or whatever province or territory that you're in is to respond to the concerns and to investigate complaints from members of the public about doctors licensed to practice medicine in Ontario, Alberta, wherever we are. All that they do is the college must act first and foremost in the best interest of the public, meaning that they are there to investigate, to see if there is a problem there, if there's been multiple complaints on the same doctor and things like that. They will look into it for you.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know this is something that I'd never previously really looked into. Like, yeah, there has to be a place where you not only share a review, but where you actually file a complaint, because if multiple complaints are coming in, somebody has to look into it. And this can be a really important piece of advocating for ourselves, advocating for others who have the same conditions, that are being given the same one-liners as some of us are, the same treatment, or lack thereof. We're going to get support, we trust, and then we're walking away more damaged than we were when we went in. And that just isn't okay. It's not okay. So when you do this, you're not simply doing this for you, you're doing this for you and everyone else who is facing this, all the other women that have endometriosis, and all the people that are dealing with chronic conditions and not being taken seriously. So you'll mail or email a copy of your review/complaint to the physician's office or hospital, stating that you filed a complaint with the state based on your care, or the province, wherever you are, whatever appropriate action there is with wherever you are in the world. You don't just do the complaint. That's where you're going to get a quicker, real response, is after you submit a complaint, you mail or email a copy of it to the physician's office or hospital, letting them know that you sent a complaint in. So you can do all of this with one letter, one review, a few envelopes and some stamps, or email, because most people are doing electronic email today. And that's another thing with bringing your records. I mentioned earlier, bringing your records, and the same thing, you can call one office, your old doctor's office, and have them forward all your medical records to the physician that you're going to see. So that's another option that you have. So it's not really costing a whole lot but a little bit of your time. And you may feel a little relief in knowing that you took a step and you did your part and you did something for yourself and others. So in this step, you're advocating for all of your endo sisters and the patients who are being mistreated by physicians. So once again, you create one written review, your experience that's factual, that's honest, that's concise and clear. On this date, I went in, here's where my expectations were let down, here's what was said to me. This is not acceptable treatment. And you basically send it to any place where you can submit a review, whether that's online, on Google reviews, on Yelp, you know, wherever. You can send it directly to the hospital or the practice. You file a complaint, and once you filed a complaint, you also let them know, hey, I filed a complaint, this is what it said. And doing all of that after you have locked down the doctor and advocated for yourself by simply saying, I do not appreciate being spoken to this way, or I do not appreciate you taking my symptoms seriously. I don't appreciate you laughing at a real, true, honest fear that I have. I realize I don't have the medical knowledge that you do. That's why I'm here, but I don't appreciate being spoken to in such a way. And that way, if it's a misunderstanding, they have the opportunity to clarify. I have had a misunderstanding with a doctor where they have taken a step back and clarified what they meant or what they were actually snickering at, you know, or whatever. Sometimes it has nothing to do with us, but we internalize it and we make it mean something, and we lose trust, we lose faith, and then we become silent. And that silence, that's what creates a whole world of issues. It creates not getting diagnosed, and they are creating it too. It's not just the silence, but we know it's at least 1 in 10, but this is the one condition that isn't getting diagnosed. Because they're not paying attention, because we're talking about being in pain and they're saying things like, oh, it's just a bad period. I'm sorry, but your period isn't, we're not supposed to have bad periods. If we're having a bad period, if we are doubled over in pain, if we are not able to function, that's our body's way of saying, hey, red flags, something's happening that needs to be addressed stat. And then we go to the place that we trust, and then they put Band-Aids on it, and then we get worse. And that has seemed to be one of the real issues here. So I'm going to try to not go way too far off on the deep end on my tangent and soapbox on this issue. Advocate for yourself. If there was any, if this was kind of fuzzy and it wasn't really clear, let us know, because we're here for you. We're here to help you advocate for yourself so that you get the medical care that you deserve, and so that endometriosis isn't running your entire life. It doesn't have to be that way. You can take a whole life approach. Better is possible. So we'll end on that note. And I do want to remind you guys that in conjunction with Endometriosis and me, we also have the closed group, Endometriosis Nourish, Flourish, Thrive. So if you are one of those ladies who's saying, I want that whole life approach, I want to choose nutritional, lifestyle, holistic approaches to support my symptoms, you are more than welcome to come on over with us in that group as well. So we love you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Please take action on this. This could, if everybody who watches this and hears this message shares it with others that are dealing with chronic conditions, if we start advocating for ourselves now and stopping it in its tracks, we will receive better. At some point, this little ripple will turn into this big tsunami. So take action on this. Do this for you. Just do it. All right. We love you guys. We'll see you next Monday. Have a wonderful week. Bye.